Okay, let's go ahead and run that very last project. I got a little cut off right there. So if we go ahead and run that guy, we can see it asks for the radius. I'm going to put in 12. And again, that's going to take pi times radius, which is radius squared basically. And I hit the enter key and it comes up, says the area is 452.39. Do we want to do this again? Now I can type in uppercase Y or lowercase y. It doesn't matter because it takes whatever we get and it says to upper right there. So if I type in a lowercase y, it gets converted to uppercase when I hit the enter key, and it basically does it again. I'll type in 14 and hit the enter key, and there it is. Now when I type a lowercase n, at this point I could type any letter. It doesn't matter because it's only checking for Y. If it's not Y, it goes ahead and drops out. So I hit the enter key and basically the program is done. Okay, so we've got some char wrappers inside the char, I should say, character wrapper class. So a lot of different methods there. Again, a whole bunch of Boolean and two upper, two lower, some of the more useful ones. So kind of going on to the next section, 9.3 is a thing called the string methods. Okay, so we know a string is not a primitive, but we know that string is a class. And so it's relative. So guess what? It comes with a lot of different methods already built in. So if we look on page 570, there we'll see some different searching type of different methods for us to basically do searches on string type data. So so here we have starts with and ends with methods. Now how the heck do they work? Well, basically what it does is it is a Boolean return. So that means the method built in has a return of Boolean. So here we have starts with, and we're passing in a string. We have ends with, Boolean, returns a Boolean, and we're passing in a string. And we have Boolean region matches. Wow, that's kind of cool. We have Boolean region matches, and with this first region match, so here we have one that is overloaded, which means, look at the signature, int, string, int, int. And here we have a Boolean int, string, int, int. So one has an extra parameter in there, which is Boolean. So here's what you think of region matches. Is think of a big long string, and I want to look for a certain section of that string that contains this basically data. So here I've got int start. Where do you want to start within that string? The actual string you're searching for, the int start to, and int in. Okay, so basically one is going to be the length. Where do you want to start within that word to do your search, and then where do you want to basically search? Okay, and then Boolean says if we add the Boolean switch to the beginning of those parameters, that says ignore the case. I don't care if it's upper or lower case, find this particular string. So the start to parameter indicates the starting position of the region within string. The start parameter indicates the starting position of the region within the calling string. Okay, so let's just kind of take a look at some examples to kind of see how it works. So here we have the person search. Okay, so let's go ahead and look up the person search. And here we have a string lookup. So here's our variable lookup. And here we've created an array of people. And Cutshaw, Will, Davis, George. So we have a whole bunch of different names in there. So we've actually preloaded our array. Looks like 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 different elements. I've got my scanner keyboard, and I go ahead and ask for into the first few characters of the last name to look up. And so we basically, whatever we type in, we put in the lookup field. And then we come in, lookup variable. And then I basically say, here are the names that match. And then I go through a for loop. Now again, I'm basically saying, look at the string, I'm going to create a string called person, and every time I go through the loop of, or the array of people, I'm going to take each element and throw it into the person um, variable. The next time I go through there, I take the next element and throw it into this variable called person. And then I say if person starts with lookup system out, and I go ahead and display that person. Now notice, in this particular case, I just said person. I don't have any other parameters in there. So if we kind of go back to the book, we can see that it basically says that some of these fields are basically, I'm sorry, no, starts with just string. Oh, let me back up. I thought some of those were optional, but apparently they are not. So we are looking for, we're looking with starts with, so I got a little confused. So let's go ahead and run this guy. Let me see if I can grab, so I see Smith there, I'll type SM. So I go ahead and run this, and if I type in capital S and M, hit the enter key, it says here's a few names that match: Smathers, Smith, and Smith. Okay. Now let me run this again, and this time I'm going to type a lowercase s and m, hit the enter key. Here are the names that match. Nothing comes up because, again, we aren't ignoring the case, so we have to basically take that in consideration when we're doing our search. So starts with, ends with, and then the region match. So I could do this. Let's do this. Let's I'm gonna basically double that up, and I'm gonna say region. Let's do region matches ignore case. Okay, so I've got that. I'm gonna say true, and let's see, the first one is the int start indicates the starting position of the region within the calling string. So we'll say, let's say 1. And then the next one is the string we're searching for. I'm going to go ahead and type in L double quote ETZ, and then offset is the starting position of this region within the string. I'm going to go ahead and say 1 again. And then int is the number of, okay, the characters, okay. So I'm going to go ahead and say, I'll say 12. I want it to go ahead and search the whole thing. Or I could say person.length. Okay, I'll just do that. And I don't need this other guy here. Okay, so why are you barking at me? Oh, I need one more parenthesis. Okay. Okay, so we've got that. So now I'm trying to find ETZ. Let's see if we can find it. If I hit it, it comes up, and I'm going to type in I'm just going to type Smith. Yeah, it didn't work. So let me try ETZ, and it didn't work either. So what are we looking for? Oh, okay, let's look for whatever I type in. Look up. Okay, so save it, run it. I'm going to type in ETZ. And that's why. Huh. Let's do 0 and 0 and see if that helps. I don't know. I can't remember what that first, when they say the print is coming in. So let's run it. I'll have to play around with that and see. I was trying to look up the Setzer, but it's not working. Okay, so on the next page, if we look on page 574, we will see this new thing, a string method for getting character or substrings location. So here we have int index of, so it's returning an int, and I can say index of and then the char. It just searches the calling string object for the character passed into char. If the character is found, the position of the first occurrence is returned. Otherwise, -1 is returned. We'll see how -1 is important here. Int index of char. So we see this index of is overloaded 1, 2, 3 different times. So here I've got index of char and then the int start. I can tell what I want to start within that string. And then index of string searches the string for whatever we basically pass in. So it's going to find it. Again, this is an entire string at that point. That's not just a char. Index of string start and int start. I'm sorry, string stir, int start. So now we're looking for a string, but start in this location. Index of char. So last index of searches the calling string. Basically, the last occurrence is found. So if it finds that character, it basically starts at the back end and goes to the left and finds the very first occurrence, which would be the last occurrence. And then the last index of string, so same basic thing. I can look for a string of characters, and then basically I can tell it where to start there as well. Okay. And it's actually searched backwards. So if I say the 5th position, it starts at position 10 and goes up to position 5. Okay, so those are some pretty neat methods as well, again, built into the string method. So here's last index of, so here's kind of an example. String stir 7 years ago, int first and last. We create 2 variables of integer first and last. First is the index of r, last is the index of r. So we basically find the very first occurrence of the letter R and the very last occurrence of the letter R. And then the first letter R appears at that position, the last letter R appears at that position. So we can kind of see how we can go from there. So let's take a look. Do we have a good example here? No, we do not. So, but I think you kind of get the gist of what they are trying to do there. It looks like down here, string 7 years ago, int position. The letter R appears at the following locations. So basically, it finds the first letter R, and then it says while position not equal -1. So again, what is -1? That is the time it does not find the letter R. So in this case, here's my position not equal -1. So while it's not equal -1, it basically looks position equals string index of R position plus 1. So what is position? Well, the very first time we found R, that's our position. So next time we go, we're going to go position plus 1. That means we're going to go 1 to the right. And now that's our starting position. We're going to look for the next letter R. We find that position. We then move 1 to the right. We add 1 to it. And we start again until we start in that position. We do not find the letter R. Then it returns -1, and we're done with our loop. Okay. So pretty neat things there as well. Okay, so let's kind of hang it up right there, and we'll come back for some more string methods that are basically built in and very powerful.